These are my 3 favorite watches. I love sharing my passion because then we can bring together a community of like-minded people. So not only will you get to see my favorite watches, but you'll get to see the favorite watches of some other creators. This is a great way to get to know us and to see what watches are all about. Before we get started, I promise you're gonna learn so much about watch collecting in this video. If you could leave a like on the video, that'd be greatly appreciated. Let's get into it. Starting with my most prized watch, this is the Rolex Oyster Perpetual reference 124200. This watch was an 18th birthday gift / high school graduation gift from my parents. I started watch collecting when I was 16, and through those 2 years, my parents really got to see my passion grow. I had a vintage Rolex Oyster Perpetual date, and that's when I declared that the Rolex Oyster in 34mm was my favorite watch. So my parents bought me the most updated Rolex Oyster and engraved a special message on the back. The Rolex Oyster is my favorite watch because of its reliability and timelessness, but this Rolex Oyster is my favorite because of its connection to my parents. My next favorite watch may surprise you, but it is the Casio F91W, the UK exclusive in bright orange. In a world where flexing is the norm and everything comes in stainless steel, white and black dials, this watch really stands tall. Color is a huge expression of emotion, and I love how happy and fun this Casio feels when I'm wearing it. The color orange reminds me of the sunset when I'm hanging out with friends or family. It also reminds me of the fall leaves when we're able to shed old identities. It is just such a cool color that has so many deep meanings to it, but at the end of the day, it really just looks great on a watch. Blue is officially my favorite color, but I love how orange is the complementary color, just like how this orange Casio is a complement to my blue Rolex. Timelessness and reliability. You could say that about any of my watches, but especially this vintage Seiko. This Seiko is approximately 75 years old, and it still keeps amazing time. I found this watch on sale for $1 at a garage sale, and with a little bit of TLC, it looks like 300 bucks. I just love the simplicity of the dial, and in a world where it's moving very fast, it's very helpful to have the day-date complication to know what day it is. These are my 3 favorite watches, and I really feel like they represent everything I love about watch collecting. But what are your 3 favorite watches?
First off, I just want to thank Keanu from Watches Can Be Fun for hosting this event. I'm really looking forward to seeing what all the other creators have to say. But if you're new here, I'm Tyree, better known as Rest Unwound on YouTube and Timex Tales on Instagram. And today I want to talk about what my 3 favorite watches are. Now, when considering a favorite watch, a lot of people will default to what is the most expensive watch. But for me, I had to go a little bit deeper, and I want to give a little bit more meaning behind these, because on Rest Unwound we talk about where watches and stories meet. So the first watch I want to highlight as my most favorite is actually going to be my Timex Ironman Flicks. You see, this is one of those watches that you can really go anywhere and do anything with. And for me, it represents not only horology, coming from one of the oldest clock-making brands in America, but it represents toughness. Timex's motto is they can take it, lick it, and keep on ticking. And in this watch, I've taken it on marathons, ultra marathons, camping, hiking, jumping out of planes. And it has always taken a lick and keep on ticking. And that's what I hope to do with my life as well. The next watch that I want to highlight is going to be my Timex Expedition North Titanium. I have a full review on this video and I talk about it a lot, but what I love about this watch is not only the specs, but the story behind it. You see, this watch was a gift to me from my aunt, who was like a second mother to me, when I took command of my second company within the Ranger Regiment. Such an incredible honor, but such an incredible watch to always mark that event. And when I think about this watch, I think about the soldiers I was able to leave, as well as my incredible family. And the last watch that I want to highlight on my 3 favorite watches in my collection is a watch that reminds me of you. Well, maybe not you particularly, unless you subscribe to my channel. You see, when I reached 1,000 subscribers, because I never thought I would, my wife decided that it was time to buy one of my Grail watches. And with that was the Timex Galley S2. This watch is absolutely incredible. It has this beautiful minimalistic design, but it has features in all the right places that make you truly appreciate it. Overall, this is one of my favorite watches in my collection, not only because of the specs, not only because of the look, but like the other 2, because of the story. And if you want to support the story, come on to the channel Wrist Unwound. Also check out wristunwound.com where you can publish your stories and we can talk about watches even more. Thanks again for hosting me. God bless and peace.
Thanks for sharing, Tyree. I really like your Timex. That thing is super cool. I love how they focus on storytelling over there on that channel. As you guys know, my channel is really focused on storytelling, and that tends to be my best videos. Go ahead and leave your comment on your story about your best watch, because I know that we're all going to want to hear it. But now let's go see what Skyler's favorite watches are.
Keanu, thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of this video. My name is Skyler Santana, and I have a YouTube channel, Talking Watches, of course. And I gotta say, this was probably one of the hardest things that I could do. I think if you asked me this question collection any day of the week, the answer would change depending on the day. But I was able to think of 3 watches that I like to wear the most, and it actually exemplifies how I am as a watch enthusiast, a watch collector, and how I talk about watches on YouTube. So for the first one, I have to nominate my F91W. Affordable watches is a category that I always love to dabble and have as a part of the conversation. So I actually modified the screen to a negative polarized blue film, and I put a Vario strap on there. Now, this is a watch that you can purchase at a very affordable rate. Even if you're a college kid or if you're still in high school, you can obtain this watch and put it into your watch collecting, because watch collecting is for everybody. And this watch means a lot to me. It's actually a birth year watch when it was first released, so it meant a lot to add to my collection. I have a lot of fun with it. I definitely have to nominate the F91W. It's so much fun. It's so carefree. You don't have to worry about if you lose it, if you break it. You could take it on trips, you could take it to the gym. It's so versatile, and I think that that's a good reason why so many units are sold over the years. So for my second pick, customizing watches and watch building, watch modding started very early in my watch collecting, and I actually purchased this case from DIY Watch Club. That's how I first decided to enter into the scene of modifying watches and putting together my own rendition of whatever I wanted to. And it's gone through so many different phases. I've gone back in there to correct the hands, to make them perfect, to line up. It made me understood how it felt in watchmaking to put together a watch. I changed out the hands multiple times. I found out about customizing dials, and I actually have my surname on there for the logo. And I was ready for that bronze material altogether. I wanted to create a diver that looked like you retrieve the watch from the bottom of the sea. And I think that I effectively got that with this watch. And over time, it's only going to get more and more of my customized patina, if you will. And for my third and final watch that I enjoy wearing the most in my collection, I have to nominate the Noctua watch. It's the PDFL all lume dial. There's so many reasons why I had to choose this watch. Not only does it feel like a tactical watch, not only does it look rugged, but I have a special attachment to it in that the owner actually chose me as a content creator to be the first person to showcase his watch. And this is actually a prototype not too far off of the production that's in rotation now. Micro brands are a humongous topic that I like to talk about here on YouTube. So the fact that I was the first content creator to do a review, see this watch, give him some of my ideas and feedback and be part of that process was extra special to me. And I love the fit and feel of the watch. Sometimes I'm in the mood to wear my F91W, and sometimes I'm in the mood to wear a bigger watch, but I love them just the same, and they give me the same kind of satisfaction regardless. So those are my top 3 watches in my collection that I enjoy to wear the most. You have something extremely affordable, you have something completely custom, and then you have a micro brand. Thank you so much, Keanu, for allowing me to do this again. It was so much fun. And remember, the only perfect watch is the one that you decided to wear on your wrist today. I appreciate you guys for spending your most valuable asset, which is time, and I'll hopefully see you in the next one.
The Casio F91W strikes again. It's that good of a watch. Thanks so much for being a part of this video, Skyler. Let's go see what Kim has to say about his 3 favorite watches.
Hi, my name's Kim, and I'm that guy known for wild watch takes all over Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. Now, those wild takes are not to rage bait, as I'm often accused, but because I enjoy watches not so much from a horological perspective, but from a fashion perspective, and you should be able to tell that from the rings on my finger and the GSM of this hoodie. Now, my first watch is my Venezianico Arsenale, the only watch in my 45 plus watch collection that I have enjoyed more with time since purchasing. This by far has the most wrist time of all my watches. Now let me tell you why. It's an all-rounder. It has most, if not all, of the things I look for in a timepiece, especially a year or so back when I bought it. Automatic movement, integrated bracelet, ultra thin. Obviously on the fashion side, I went with grey because it goes with everything. It's polished in all the right places. And I genuinely think it has the best bracelet I have ever seen on a watch. That includes the Nautilus 5711, the Royal Oak, the 222. Yes, I said I had some wild takes. Now onto the second, my Zelos GT. At this point you'll know aesthetics are my #1 priority when it comes to watches, and this doesn't stray from that at all. This has a very cohesive design theme, cars. And the fact that I have zero interest in cars and still paid for this at full price should tell you how amazing the visuals are, as well as how much value is packed into this watch. We've got such a unique stacked case shape, a gorgeous crown guard and guard setup, as well as the most beautiful set of hands I've ever seen on a watch. And then on the value side alone, for around £350, you get an automatic watch, 100 meters of water resistance, a speedometer style power reserve indicator, a date window, great lume, excellent finishing, and a micro adjust on the clasp. Let that sink in. Now to number 3, my Grand Seiko. This is the first watch that ever made me care about horology. What's actually inside the watch. Financially, it was a huge jump from my £200 average spend on a watch to 5Gs. But this smooth spring drive sweep is mesmerizing. That really is the main reason I bought it. Only a few days after finding out what a spring drive even was. I'm still not 1,000% sure I fully understand it. And the impulsivity of this purchase alone is a true testament to how severe my ADHD is. Moving on, I know we're only allowed 3, but this must make it into the honorable mentions category, my Elgin Shockmaster. This watch has no redeemable qualities or specs other than its beauty, but it must be included because it is the only watch in my whole 45 plus collection with a story or memory attached to it. I was in Massachusetts visiting family, reached out to Ben's Watches, one of my favorite creators. We met up in New York, spent some time together, and I bought this at the infamous Chen's store. That whole experience and conversation with Ben was a game changer for me, and having bought this watch to kind of commemorate that, it makes this very special. So there you have it, my top 3-ish watches, and thanks for having me.
Aw, you cheated. You got 4 watches, Kim. I'm just kidding. I really like his editing. He's a super cool guy. And I really respect his take for liking watches for a fashion sense. I'm also kind of that way. I mean, I'm wearing the Rolex, not the most horological piece, but I like the way it looks. And I like the way it makes you feel. And it's not all about specs and gears and you can enjoy watches just for how they look. I really like your takes and I really like your watches. Let's go see what Doug has to say about his 3 favorite watches.
So my 3 watches. The 3 that have changed how I view watch collecting and the hobby the most, my 3 favourites. I'm going to bend the rules a little here. I am Doug's Watches. I call myself the Thinking Watch Channel if you didn't already know me, so what else would you expect? I'm not going to start with some watches, but instead a story about some paper. See, I got my watch box before my first big boy watch. I had some Citizens and Seikos and Casios. A great start, we must all admit. And underneath each pad in this new to me watch box, I wrote a little note out with a name of a piece or a category of a watch on. I mapped out my collection, built my watch collecting life. This is an 8-watch watch box, and I've got 2 of the 8 I initially set out to get. My GMT and my vintage Omega Seamaster, but neither were the ones I was hoping for. I have the Tudor Black Bay GMT. Well, I must be honest, I was yearning for the Rolex. I wanted a Seamaster 600, not this quartz thing. But I now love both, and they're going nowhere, not even to make way for the original planned pieces. I frequently return to philosophy in my videos, and often to semiotics, the symbolism and meaning of an object, but I have to be brief today. These watches are not the original symbols I was setting out to buy. However, these watches have seen first dates, promotions, and the loss of loved ones. They are now symbols of me. Now I could talk about how I lust after a Cartier Santos and Tank, 2 watches on those little bits of paper, and that this guides my watch buying habits today, but that seems a little on the nose, although true. So, my real 3rd watch, my G-Shock 5600, my most worn watch I think. It's seen gym PBs, swimming in the sea at 2 AM, running marathons in the middle of winter, and even the occasional day in the office. And I must admit, at one time I thought of upgrading it either to a Casio GA2100 or something mechanical like a khaki field, until I decided I preferred this because it's mine and it does the job. So, my Tudor, my Omega, my G-Shock, none of these watches were on the roadmap. None of them were on those bits of paper. Yet they've taught me something very important, that John Lennon surmised very well. Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans. And that's something I think we all need to learn one way or another. And for me, it was with these 3 watches.
Doug really nailed it on the head with that one. I feel like every watch collector can relate to this. The watches that you think that you want, that you set out to get, are not the watches that you're going to end up with. You should really enjoy the ones, whichever ones that you end up with, because those are the ones that you're going to make tons of memories in. My favorite from Doug's has to be the Tudor Black Bay GMT. That thing is awesome. But let's go see what Phil's 3 favorite watches are.
Hi, Ordinary Watch Guy here, and I've been invited to participate in this video. Massively grateful to Keanu at Watches Can Be Fun for inviting me in on the project. I've got 3 minutes to tell you about 3 of my very favourite watches. Okay, so first off, I've got this Omega Seamaster 40th anniversary James Bond watch, and I've got it off the original bracelet. I've put it on this absolutely killer mesh from North Star. I'm not even going to get into the price that Omega want to charge for an OEM mesh. That's insane. The North Star is killer, so I love it. This watch is an epic piece of neo-vintage, early millennium, Pierce Brosnan Bond. And I think we're talking die another day. It has the etched 007s across the dial. I love this watch, but I love it because more than anything, my dad bought this watch. He bought it after my grandmother died with money that she had left to him. And then on his 75th birthday, he gifted it to me, serviced and in immaculate condition. It's a very precious piece of family history, and it's one that I will pass on to my son. The second watch that I'm going to show you is my Grand Seiko SBGA 101. There's no fancy name attached to this watch. It's a spring drive model, and it's under the radar as you could possibly imagine. I put it on an Artem strap, a sailcloth, and it brings out the sporty nature of the piece, but it keeps it really low key. I can wear this watch absolutely anywhere. Few people will really know what a badass this watch actually is. You're talking about 0.5 seconds of accuracy per day. The sweep of the second hand is smoother than anything you've ever seen. It looks absolutely fantastic. It goes with anything. It has a huge power reserve, 70 plus hours. I consider this watch to be without faults, and it cost me about £1,800, including the Artem strap, and to be honest, that was pretty pricey. The final watch that I'm going to throw into the mix today is my Union Glashütte Belisar Chronograph Limited Edition Silvretta Classic 2025. First of all, if you're not switched on to the watches that come out of Glashütte, you're missing out. The watches coming out of that town are largely hand assembled. They're quite amazing. The whole town is dedicated to upholding a reputation that is built on horological excellence. And secondly, Union Glashütte are one of the most underrated, unknown watch brands out there, just out there at all. I was incredibly privileged to visit them and to have a tour around their production facility. And I was so convinced by, what I saw while I was there that I had to have a piece. And it will always remind me of my trip to Glashütte. But damn, it's a great piece. It's a great chronograph built on an adapted Valjoux 7753 with a silicone balance spring and custom rotor. I love this watch every time I pick it up and put it on. Thank you for including me in the videos, guys. See you in their next one. Bye for now.
That Seamaster on the mesh bracelet is so classic. I feel like many watch collectors get into watch collecting through their parents. And if not, they get their parents into watch collecting, like in my case. When I started collecting watches, I told my mom all about it. And she was a really great mom. She always listened to me. And eventually she started collecting watches. And now she has a collection that's way better than my collection. So it's really cool to see that we can share that together. Those were some great watches, Phil. Let's go see what Norman has.
Hey everyone, I am Norman from the channel Killing Time with Norman. And I always have a hard time boiling down my collection to just 3 or whatever the number is. There's so many pieces that vie for the #1 spot in my collection, but I just can't not go with these 3 watches because they are the best in my collection. So let me show you the top 3 in my collection. Okay, so coming in at number 3 is the Dolce Vita. This is the quartz variant. I love the crystal, how it distorts everything. The Longines Dolce Vita. Coming in at number 2 is the vintage Tudor, and this is an absolute rock star of a watch. So I do watch lunches with my friends, and I met up with a friend and we were kind of sharing watches that the other person hadn't seen in person, and he brought this. He informed me that he wasn't opposed to selling it, So I bought this watch. There was an issue with the threads. They had worn out. So I sent it to my watchmaker, and it now has a new Rolex crown on there, because this was back when Tudor used Rolex cases and parts like that. And when I got the watch back, my watchmaker left 2 different notes going on and on about how this is the cleanest vintage watch he's ever seen. When I put this on the time grapher, it was doing plus minus 1 second a day. Craziness. And my number 1 watch is the pull router. So Mad Men is responsible for my obsession with dress watches, and a really good friend of mine found this particular piece on Chrono24. The price was pretty good for a pull router, especially given the condition this is in. Now, considering the fact that the dial looks brand new, it's probably been redialed, but I know that the inside is good because I sent it off to be serviced. My wife was kind enough to help me purchase this, letting me count it as a birthday and Christmas present. So I just love pull routers. I love the crosshairs, and for whatever reason, I am obsessed with designs that utilize a bit of silver around the edge of the dial. So yeah, those are the top 3 watches in my collection.
I love the pull router, but I think the vintage Tudor is my favorite in your collection. That thing is awesome. I also have a vintage Tudor in my collection, and I just love how well they run. They are so accurate, like you were saying. A big thank you to all the creators who joined in on the video, and to all the viewers, thank you as well. You guys are a big part of the community, and I'm really glad that we were able to make this video happen. Leave a like on it, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.